Welcome to a brand new season of What I Did Next from A&T Media. I'm Malak Fuad, your host. I welcome a new guest from the region on each episode, and we take a deep dive into their lives' most pivotal moments. On today's episode, we have the former Foreign Minister of Egypt, Amr Moussa, who tells me why he's optimistic not just for the future of Egypt, but also for our region as a whole.
I believe that we have a chance in the Arab world with Egypt and Saudi Arabia together leading this region and setting the rules, the way, as you see, in the rest of the problems. We have problems in Sudan, in Libya,
Of course.
in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon.
And Egypt is pivotal for these questions.
Absolutely. So helping Egypt is important
Yep.
for the future personality, the future peace, the future stability in the region.
His Excellency Amr Moussa has had a distinguished career in the world of international diplomacy and cooperation. He served as the ambassador of Egypt to India for 3 years in 1983. He was the permanent representative of Egypt to the UN in 1990. He was the foreign minister of Egypt for 10 years until 2001, and then he became Secretary General of the League of Arab States. Today, he continues to leave an impact as an elected member of the Panel of the Wise, a critical pillar of the peace and security architecture of the African Union, and as chairman of the High-Level Advisory Council to the High Representative for the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, or UNAOC. As someone who's a student of international relations and enjoys discussions about geopolitics, being able to sit down with Amr Moussa and pick his brain on all the momentous changes happening around us was absolutely priceless. His career is filled with pivotal moments and pivotal roles, beginning with, of course, his role as ambassador to India.
I wanted to go to India because I thought I spent too much time in the multilateral system. I want this bilateral. A very tough choice was put before me. I was the deputy ambassador in New York. So I was offered the job of chief ambassador in Geneva, the other capital of the international
of the
system.
UN.
Or, if you want and insist, you go to India. I wanted to go to India. And there were a kind of different opinions between the foreign minister, who was General Kamal Hassan Ali, who became prime minister after that, and Boutros Ghali, who insisted that I should go to Geneva. Of course, the minister prevailed over the minister of state. I went as ambassador to India. And Boutros Ghali made of me an example, telling everybody, you see, Amr Moussa had the chance to go to Geneva or wherever he wanted to go, but he chose India. So just to convince the young generation to make their choices after thinking of it and believing in what they want. So I went there. I enjoyed the India in general, the Indian society, the Indian people. They are funny, but they are intelligent. They are the same like us.
Yes.
If you compare if you ask an Indian a question and ask an Egyptian the same question, the answer will be the same. So I enjoyed them.
Yes.
They are intellectual.
And they have a very rich history.
Very friendly. They are generous. There is a certain, what can I say, certain relations between the Indian person and the Egyptian person.
Yes.
That's why I liked that.
Yes.
I spent 3 years. So the foreign minister at that time, Dr. Abdul Majid, Allah yarhamu, told me that we are ready to give you 1 more year. And I was at the height of my pleasure in India, knowing everybody, moving all over India. The children were at schools, good schools.
You were happy there.
Very happy.
Yes.
And I decided to put an end to that. Dr. Abdul Majid was astonished. So ambassadors usually to say, yes, of course, 1 more year is fine,
Yes.
especially if the post is
Exciting. Yeah.
exciting. So I said, no. He told me, why? He said, because if I stay 1 more year, I'll be spoiled.
And I'll never want to leave.
Yes, I will come after that year asking you to add
Yes.
a 50 year.
Yes.
So sorry,
Yes.
I have to
That's very funny.
put it to
Yes.
put that this fine experience
yeah,
to an end. really, after that, 3 years after that, I became foreign minister.
That's amazing. I'd like to get your opinion on Egypt's place in the world today, and with a focus maybe on Africa. What role do you see it playing going forward?
First of all, Egypt as a country and a society and a culture belongs to several areas geographically, culturally, and in some of them, we were always leaders. In fact, in most of them, we were always leaders. We are an Arab country, so we have this Arab Society of Nations. We are part of it. And the bigger part of it, the majority of the population, Arab people, Egyptians, we are African people. We are an African country. That is part of our identity. We belong to the continent. And so many things have been done in Africa with a lot of Egyptian contribution to the events in Africa at the time of decolonization, the era of decolonization. Egypt helped a lot the revolutions in Africa and their struggle for independence. Egypt was very clear in its position against apartheid. Egypt was the country of refuge to many leaders. In fact, all of them
Absolutely.
passed by Cairo, by Egypt, in their journey from oblivion to the presidency and leadership. So this is another dimension of Egyptian identity. Then comes the Mediterranean.
Of course.
We are a Mediterranean country.
Of course.
That's why you have a lot of exchange of interaction with the European countries, European culture. Then we are part of the Muslim world. Then we are part of the South, Asia, Africa, Latin America.
We have many roles.
We have many roles, but we have many aspects that form the personality of Egypt. And the personality is not only just to exist, but how to contribute. And we were the most important contributor to the developing the Arab societies, the Arab culture, the Arab knowledge, the Arab education, the Arab life. Egypt, in fact, contributed a lot to that. The soft power of Egypt also played an important role. You will recall Kulthum, you will recall Abdul Wahab, you will recall Ahmed Shawqi, the most famous poet, and others.
Naguib Mahfouz,
Naguib
the list is
Mahfouz.
long.
I'm talking about the beginning. 30s, in
yes,
the
of
40s,
course.
in the 50s, in
The
the
list
60s.
is long.
That came the Egyptian contribution, and then the Egyptian leadership as was personalized in Gamal Abdel Nasser.
Of course.
And even when we came to liberate our territory from occupation, Anwar Sadat was also one of the big names in the history of Egypt. So that is how Egypt is.
Yes.
And the role was played firstly by the soft power of Egypt in the Arab world. Then in Africa was the support in the era of decolonization. Then in the Mediterranean, the era of forming the future relations after the fall of the Soviet Union, after the end of the Cold War, where a lot of activities were centralized in the Mediterranean with a new policies of Euro-Arab dialogue with the Euro, or the MENA conference, the MENA identity that Middle East and North Africa. And that was very important. We consider this MENA is just a misnomer. This is the Arab world. This is the Arab world. And with us, there are others. So I just want to highlight how the Egyptian personality was formed.
Yes.
And in this, we played leading roles that are not forgotten at all.
Of course.
You go to Africa, they not only remember Abdel Nasser,
yes,
they remember other diplomats who stood with them in the United Nations, who talked on their behalf when they were prevented from talking. also that Cairo was open to them.
Yes.
They came and lived here and were assisted, etc. So this is Egypt.
I want to ask you here at this point about the role of the Arab states, because they have not been efficient and effective in coming together in a united voice. Why? What is what are the problems between these countries that they cannot find a way to speak as one?
First of all,
Yes.
I want you to differentiate
Right.
between the public opinion,
Yes.
the people,
Yes.
the young people, different generation. So when you talk about the Arabs, the relations between governments,
Mhm.
but between people, this is not the case.
Yes, of course.
And you should know, and I believe you know, that what is called the Arab Spring started in Tunis
Yes.
with the young man.
The vegetable seller. Yes.
Everybody all over the Arab world were taken aback
Mhm.
and started to revolt
Mhm.
and to express a refusal to all what happened.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, and I said that in my book, you didn't read the book, it is being translated now into English, then into Spanish, then into French. In the book, I said that the immediate reaction to what happened in Tunis
Mhm.
was felt among the people, the
Yes.
young people.
Yeah.
And therefore, this is the way others, foreigners, or whoever in the audience that is not Arab, should know that an event in a remote village in Tunis made everybody and pushed everybody into the streets. The people everywhere expressed their dissatisfaction with their governments, with their systems and regimes. Had there been confidence in their regimes, had been the democracy and so on, nobody would have cared. But that was the expression of anger, and the reasons of anger are the same in the Arab world, and in fact in the third world in general.
Yes.
This is an important point for us to know, that what is apparent, that Arabs are always quarreling. That's not the Arabs. The Arab people are not quarreling.
No, the Arab people, I agree with you, and there is a commonality between the
Absolutely.
populations. But as a region, we are no longer reliant, or we should no longer be reliant on Western powers telling us what to do and implementing what they want. We as countries have a lot of power that we are not using. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, they have power, financial power, economic power that they can impose. And of course, we know that Egypt is very instrumental in trying to solve and mediate this issue right now. And Egypt has always played this role as mediator. Is the role that Egypt is playing as strong as it always was? Or are there other players also trying to get involved?
Look, we have a lot of problems. I claim that for over 70 years now, since the final days or final years of King Farouk, Egypt was not doing fine.
Yes.
Then when the revolution, 1952, changed the system, came up, the grandeur, the cult of personality, etc., prevailed. The real problems that have in any country, especially in the developing world, will have to be catered to, were not really in the center of attention of those issues. Therefore, there was an absence of good governance. Good governance is not only foreign policy.
No.
It has to be education and health and agriculture and etc. There are so many things that you have to cater to.
Yes.
Insofar as our society is concerned,
Absolutely.
that there was a lack of this, in particular this thing. Here we have to define our position rightly and in a logical and smart way. We cannot deny the dangers of the Palestinian question existing, continuing, etc., or denying. We have to be firm in this. But we have also to put on the same level of priorities the internal policies. Egypt started to do that, in fact, without ignoring the Palestinian question, but the emphasis should be put on the issues that would develop and benefit the Egyptian people, the Egyptian citizen. And that is very important. If we succeed in this in the next few years, then Egypt will be in a much stronger position to get back to the Egyptian leadership. Because when I talk about correcting the past mistakes and applying the elements of good governance, I don't only mean the book in the school, but the new norms that I have to deal with the artificial intelligence. I have to deal with the nuclear peaceful uses of nuclear policy,
climate change, and all these things,
and also art,
culture,
including the music, including everything. I have to deal with that with an open mind.
Of course,
this is the 21st century. It cannot be another chance to repeat the same wrong policies of the 20th century. I believe we are doing that.
I agree.
So I am not that pessimistic about the future of Egypt.
I am also, like you, not pessimistic. When we come back, I talk to Amr Moussa about his run for the presidency and how he views his legacy. That's right after this break. Welcome back. This is my conversation with His Excellency Amr Moussa. I want to get a sense of how your experiences were when you ran here for president. I don't want to go into the politics or all of that.
You went already into politics, by the way, Asha, which is nothing wrong with that.
What was that like for you to have run?
Yeah, but before getting into this, I wish to underline the fact that this is a transitional time in the region. This is not the final station. This is just a transitional period where I believe that we have time in Egypt. We have time to move on and assert our role from the right angles. That is, our education is good. But at the same time, I believe that we have a chance in the Arab world with Egypt and Saudi Arabia together leading this region and setting the rules for the way we deal with the question of peace in the Palestinian question, the way, as you see, in the rest of the problems, we have problems in Sudan, in Libya,
of course,
in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon.
And Egypt is pivotal for these questions.
Absolutely. So you cannot, and whoever thinks that Egypt would be just put on the side and let others, they are mistaken. They are mistaken because alone without Egypt, they were easy prey.
Absolutely. They're not experienced enough.
Absolutely. So helping Egypt is important for the future personality, the future peace, the future stability in the region. Now it is a different era.
Explain to me why. What is happening now? Why is it different?
Now it is a different era, a different world. We passed after the first decade or so after the fall of the Soviet Union with the one superpower with its policy, its philosophy, etc. We had an opinion and a position at that time. We tried to push the Palestinian question in order to have a solution of it. We did not succeed. Not because we failed in our, but because the opposition and the position of the West was not that positive or even sincere in trying to solve the Palestinian question.
And is it today?
As you have seen after what happened in Gaza. So many Western countries, was very clear that this is legitimate for Israel to do what they are doing under this claim of the right to self-defense, which is not correct.
No, it's not.
Because the occupying power, the power that exercises occupation, military occupation, to lands, territories that are not theirs, do not have the right to self-defend, to defend themselves against the population that are occupied.
And a weaker population. Yeah.
When there is occupation, there is also resistance.
And a power imbalance is
And
inbuilt.
exactly, they thought, but even they said it, that that this resistance is, they dared describe it as terrorism. No, it was resistance, because we cannot and should not start by what the events of 7 of October. We have to start by the events that caused 7 of October, which is the very, what can I say, condemnable policy and exercise by the occupying power in the occupied territories, by treating them as second-class citizens, by destroying their homes, by trying to expel them,
Yes.
and refusing to implement any initiative,
Yes.
peace initiative. This has caused anger.
Of course.
And not only among the Palestinians, among so many.
Among so many people.
Yes. So this is what happened. This is what is happening. And we are not pleased at all. We are really, there is a wave of anger.
Yes.
Among the population, the public opinion, all over the Arab world, Muslim world, and I would say even the Jewish world.
How will the war that's now happening reshape our region? I feel like there is going to be a positive shift happening. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a year, but because of this generational change, this situation, the status quo, can no longer stand. Something has to change.
I think that you are wrong in saying something will change in the... No, that's not enough. And we should not accept that. In order to solve the problem we have today, we have to sit down and decide that the military occupation has to come to an end within a certain time frame.
And soon.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But the lesson we already learned.
Yes.
The negotiations that took place with the Israelis in the 90s failed. Why? Because there was no time frame.
Yes.
You just sit and talk.
Yeah.
And another lesson we learned from them, from the Israelis, that okay, there are certain things we can negotiate now, and there's things that we have to put to a later date. It was called the final status issues. Final status means state, means the full rights of the people.
Of course.
So this time there is nothing called final status quo. It is all 1-5. It has to be put on the table with whatever time frame we will agree on, and the elements one by one, according to a schedule. And of course, we also learned that the smiles that we have seen are all fraud.
Absolutely. The masks have fallen.
And the promises that, you know, if you do this,
yes,
the Israelis will
Yes.
be calmer, quieter.
Yes.
They would accept nonsense.
What is your legacy?
Well, I hope that my years as foreign minister, especially with the changes I decided and I really put them into effect in the system, in the diplomatic system, be one of the basic elements of legacy, my legacy. This is one. Number two, my work in the multilateral system, that I discovered that it is not forgotten at all by so many generations. Until now, many high officials, I would say even presidents in several countries, still, when I go to them and just to say hello, they come and say, no, stay, you have contributed to such and such.
Wonderful feeling.
Yes. My days in the Arab League were also days of more rapprochement and understanding among Arab countries' governments. And we succeeded in doing that. And of course, not the first day, it took us time. But my second term as Secretary General of the League was marked with this rapprochement and understanding that it is good to have a strong Secretary General than putting obstacles in his place.
Of course.
Some were laughing at that time, saying that Arab League has become 23 members because the 22 countries and the Secretary General as member also. I would say that many foreign ministers Arab helped me in this.
Yes.
They were convinced of that.
Yes.
Prince Saud of Saudi Arabia.
King Abdullah.
King Abdullah of Jordan.
Yes.
The Hushayr Zubari of Iraq. Who else? And from the Maghreb.
The whole region, yes.
The Maghreb,
yes, of course.
From Tunis, Habib bin Yahya.
Yes.
They became friends.
Yes.
And we worked together. And whatever I said, they used to say, all right, we will help.
Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled that you were on the show. This was so wonderful to have you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed talking to you. And I hope that this interview will be watched by people who are really interested in knowing some stories about how things go.
Thank you so much. That was my conversation with Amr Moussa, former Foreign Minister of Egypt and former Secretary General of the League of Arab Nations. In recognition of his work, Amr Moussa was awarded the Order of the Nile from Egypt, the Order of the Two Niles from the Sudanese Republic, the Supreme Order of the Renaissance from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, a High Order from the State of Qatar, the rank of Commander First Class of the Royal Order of the Polar Star of Sweden, in addition to orders and decorations from Brazil, Argentina, Germany, Ecuador, and Venezuela. If you're a member of the show, you'll get a bonus episode next week with more from my conversation with His Excellency Amr Moussa. You can find extended clips from our episodes on our YouTube channel, and you can connect with us on Instagram, X, and on LinkedIn. Just search for What I Did Next. Thank you for joining me today. You've been listening to What I Did Next from A&T Media. I'm Malak Fuad, and we're produced by Chirag Desai. See you in a couple of weeks.